Good morning, everybody. Well, it's morning for me. I don't know what time it is where you guys are, but I'm so excited on Bell's Palsy Talk today to be talking to the author of Smile, A Story of a Face, Sarah Ruhl. She's going to join me here today. Hi, Sarah. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
You're in New York. You said it's snowing there.
It is snowing. And you are in, where are you? West Coast.
I'm in Canada, Vancouver, BC.
Canada.
It's beautiful here. It's
Beautiful.
cold, but we're finally finished with the snow, which is nice.
Good.
Thank you. Welcome to everybody here joining us. We have quite a few viewers, of course, who want to talk to Sarah. Sarah's a playwright who's also the author, of course, of this book, Smile, The Story of a Face, which I'm very excited about talking to your experience of Bell's palsy. So she's a playwright, a two-time Pulitzer Prize finalist, a Tony Award nominee, and you're also write poems, so write poems and plays. And then, of course, your book about Bell's palsy. Now, so why don't you tell a little bit about your experience when you woke up? I know you were pregnant at the time. When you woke up, of course, the morning, which we all know very well, where you woke up with the paralyzed face. Yay!
Yeah, right. It's the first time I've talked to a group that specifically has had the experience also. So that's a real honor and really nice to be in community with everybody. So I was pregnant with twins. I had a really hard pregnancy and I was on bed rest and they were worried the twins wouldn't survive. And then I had the twins miraculously. They were healthy. And then it was about 3 days later, a lactation consultant was in the room teaching me how to breastfeed twins. And she said, "Your eye looks a little droopy." And I was like slightly offended. I was like,
I just gave birth, leave me alone.
Right. I made some joke like, well, I'm Irish, my great uncle all have droopy eyes when they drink too much. And she said, "That's not what I mean. Go look in the mirror." And I went and looked in the mirror and this whole side of my face had fallen down, was completely paralyzed. And my husband's a doctor. So I called him and he said, get a neurologist to come over. And my mom had Bell's palsy, so I sort of knew that it was a thing, but we were worried I might have had a stroke. So the neurologist came in and diagnosed Bell's palsy.
So that was actually lucky you were right there at the hospital, hey?
It was. I was already there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have quite a few followers who do get it when they're pregnant because it is common, more common to get it in that last pregnancy, which of course, when people message me about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're dealing with that and Bell's palsy. What a nightmare. Because we all know that having kids is tough in the first place. Yeah. Now, what I was hoping that we could talk about a little bit is just your experience of being in the public. You talk about quite a bit in your book, like whether you should explain it to people. And I think that we find that all with Bell's palsy because it's one of those things where people kind of do that double take, like, is something wrong with you? And then they step back because they don't want to offend you. So it just makes this awkward thing where when we're the person with it, we just kind of want to break that awkwardness and be like, hey, I have a paralyzed face, like moving on,
Well, I love that bluntness from you. I mean, I think it took me a while to learn how to diffuse that because it's interesting that people really don't want to talk about it. They often mostly don't say anything because they don't want to offend and they don't know what's going on. So it was a real question for me, I think, with teaching because I didn't want my students to think I looked disapproving when they were reading their work. And even my own mother, who'd had Bell's palsy, once was watching me watch a play of mine. She was sitting on this side and she kept looking over at me really worried. And then she said, "Are you not pleased?" And I was like, "Mom, my face is paralyzed." So I knew that people couldn't read my expression a lot of the time. So usually if I was with a stranger, someone I was meeting for the first time, I would explain, just so you know, I have Bell's palsy. If it looks like I'm unfriendly or disapproving, it's not. I just can't move my face on this side. And then when I'd had my picture taken for the theater, at first it was just kind of excruciating. I remember when I was nominated for a Tony Award, it was pretty soon after the diagnosis and I still had no movement at all on this side. So on the red carpet, they were like, "Smile for your Tony Award." And I was like, and they're like,
"Trying, I'm trying."
Can you smile? And I was like, I can't, my face is paralyzed. And then I felt almost bad as though I'd shamed them, you know? So
you felt bad. Yeah. Isn't that
I
just
felt
crazy? Yeah.
yeah.
That's how we naturally will feel, is now we feel bad for being honest.
Right.
And, you know, our bodies are something that we kind of, regardless of what's going on, feel ashamed of. And that's crazy. It's just this realistic thing that's happening. And so you've had it for how long now? When did you say the year was?
12 years.
So yeah, I'm on 6, and you know, I still do have that same, and you've described it previously, in, I think in your book, and then also some interviews, as it being, you know, chronic, and us not being able to really handle in society this chronic kind of thing. People be like, oh, it's not that bad, or it could be worse, and you know, throwing out these opinions where we didn't really ask for that, you know.
The chronic thing, I mean, I think that Western medicine, my husband who's a doctor says this, like Western medicine is really good at saving you from dying, or you know, or it can be, but fixing chronic things, I feel like they're like, no.
Yeah.
And because Bell's palsy is idiopathic, you know, it's really hard. And I think doctors even feel frustrated when they can't help you.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've talked previously with specialists, you know, from the Facial Recovery Center and things where, you know, they are just human, and GPs will deal with things, of course, that are more general, and everybody has, you know, they're going to spend their time learning on things that are more common. And so that's why I'm really excited and passionate to have people join where, you know, it's not a common, I understand that money and things are being invested into cancers and things like that, because it is more common. It's a broader kind of window. But for us who have experienced it, I just want to bring more awareness that it's a thing, and you know, there is help out there, and there's community and people like yourself who have gone through it and spoken up about it. And I think that helps us heal as humans, to stick together.
I think so too. And I think it took me a really long time to find any community around it. I think I just kind of hoped it would get better. And when it didn't, it was very isolating. I didn't sort of seek out a group. I mean, ironically, it took me writing a book about it to find community around it. And
Yeah.
maybe because I'm a writer, that's a little bit how introverted writers can be. I'm curious from you. I mean, I've done a little research into pregnancy and Bell's palsy, and there's not a lot of information. Have you found anything out with folks that you've had on about why they think it's happening?
In the pregnancy situation? Well, I haven't, and I don't have any solid facts to share, but basically the information that I've read is that your immune system by the 3rd trimester of your pregnancy is shot. Like, your baby's taking everything from you.
Right.
When your immune system is down and your stress level is high, of course you have a higher tendency to do that. Metaphysically, the reading that I've done too is that you are doing too much for other people. You're putting yourself out. You're not, you know, using your voice and using your opinion. So I guess it could be understood that you literally are doing everything for somebody else, like in that 3rd trimester of your pregnancy, because everything's being taken from you. But I would assume that it would just be your lowered immune system,
right?
Because you're getting ready to have a baby, and you know, because you're tired, and that's what I would assume. But I will definitely pass it on if I find anything else.
See what you think. I talked to a neurologist who's also a mom of twins, and what she said, which interested me, was that because neurologists aren't OBGYNs, and because very few are women, there hasn't been a lot of attention put towards neurological problems that affect pregnant women.
The connection between the two. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, if I find any facts, I'll definitely pass them along to you, because it is fascinating to me, the certain situations where this happens. And that's what I do speak about is, you know, the viruses and the things that we have in our society. Well, okay, the cold sores, you get zillions of people get cold sores. So why did I get Bell's palsy and the person sitting next to me didn't? So the metaphysical reason of, saying yes too much, not standing up for yourself, your voice is paralyzed. Very interesting to me. And that's what I like to, mention and talk to people about. It's every conversation that I've had is people with Bell's palsy really resonate with the fact that they're people pleasers and do too much for other people and don't speak up for themselves. So very interesting to me, and important to focus on self-care and doing, what you need first, because I think also in our society, that's not a thing. It's not a thing. You know, you say no that because you're drained at the end of the week and you don't want to do something social, you feel guilty, you know, and I think that is for women, especially, you know, really,
Well,
really for women.
and I think postpartum, you know, I had an older daughter, and then I had twins when I had Bell's palsy, and it was so hard to find time to rest. And I almost blamed myself for the Bell's palsy not getting better, because I thought, oh, I'm not resting enough. I'm not going to the acupuncturist enough, you know. And the neurologist who I first saw, who was not the most compassionate guy, you know, it was just like, I came back from my 6-month visit, and he's like, you're not better at all. You know, it almost felt like blame. You know, he's like, and you're twitching. Do you realize you have to twitch? You need experimental neurosurgery. And I was like, well, you know, I just had twins. I haven't had enough rest. And he's like, rest will do nothing. You know, you need this experimental neurosurgery. You know, he wasn't willing to think about the fact that the body was depleted, the body was drained. And for me, 10 years out, you know, I did see slow incremental progress. And a lot of neurologists tell you, oh, if you're not better after a year, that's sort of it. That's
no hope. Yeah.
Better. And for me, that wasn't the case. You know, these other modalities and physical therapy did help me slowly get better over time.
And then from what I've learned, the nerve regrowth, you're not going to change the nerve regrowth after a year. And that's where the neurologists kind of like, hey, your nerves grow back, like, too bad, so sad, see you later. This is the best you're going to get. Peace, right? So the work that I've done, especially with Jody from the Center for Facial Recovery, is she's explained it that you do these exercises to re-engage the nerves. The other nerve parts are still there. They're just not leading the pack or leading the team anymore. And so that was really interesting for me. So I was very lucky and got to see her.
Do you still do PT with her? Just curious.
Like physical therapy?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Like, well, she's in Maryland, so I do online, and then I do exercises and stuff from her. But I've only been able to see her once. I'm new to it. I connected with her from doing Bell's palsy talk, so that really made me excited too. Now, the thing is, the other question I had is, you kind of described the writing the book as a healing process for yourself, which I'm also finding with Bell's palsy talk, is making the community with other people has been really healing for me too. So your book being really rewarding, I'm sure, obviously for yourself, but it's also helped you heal by telling your story.
I think it has, because I think there was a great silence around it for me, and that wasn't great for me, especially as a writer. And I was reading this book by Chuck Mee, who's a playwright who had polio, and his book is called A Nearly Normal Life. And he talks about how making aesthetic sense of an illness is sort of essential for a sense of self. And I think for me, there was this rupture that happened, and I couldn't make sense of it. So I just avoided thinking about it. And the book allowed me to kind of string together the story of it, and to get rid of some metaphors that really weren't serving me anymore.
And what would one of those be? Just the shame around whether it was your fault or not? Or
I would think things like, well, you know, I have 2 healthy babies, and that's enough to ask for. Like, I traded my face for those babies, and that's fine. You know, like sort of a fairy tale logic.
It could be worse kind of thing. I find that to myself too. Like, why am I feeling so sorry for myself? Now you're feeling guilty for feeling sorry for yourself. And it's this huge spin downwards, where us focusing on the positive and getting better needs that downtime. It's okay to feel like, oh, like today, this sucks. It's crappy. It doesn't mean that you're not focusing on the positive. So I do really resonate with that we don't necessarily always have to be like, oh, it could be worse, I need to be happy, and then feel guilty about that. It's just a accepting of your body, and this is what you have to work with and do your best. You know, so I
really angry about it too, but had no sense that I was. I think I was enraged, you know, that this had happened, and that it was still ongoing.
Yeah, why me? And yeah. And I think that, the accepting of that, it's grief, the stages of grief that we go through, anger, and then finally accepting, and those things. And it's a natural process. So at the beginning, if you spend the whole time beating yourself up, well, you need to like let yourself grieve and heal, which of course is hard to do when you have babies and kids and all those things running around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's really hard. So yes, for myself, I was so excited to read your book. I love your writing. You're funny. I love how you talk about your kids. I love how you talk about their different kinds of ways of throwing up. That made me laugh so much. I love it. You're just so real. And I think that it makes people really feel connected, to find somebody who lives in the light like yourself, having gone through that, still surviving, still putting one foot in front of the other, and doing really well. What do you have going on right now? Do you have a new play? I guess there's not really things like that happening. Are they allowed to have audiences and stuff again in New York?
I mean, the play situation is tricky. I have a play coming to Lincoln Center in the fall called Becky, Nurse of Salem, about the history of the Salem witch trials. Well, actually, it's a comedy about the Salem witch trials. Miller already wrote the tragedy, so this is a comedy. And then I'm working on a book called Love Poems in Quarantine. And when the theater shut down, I started writing one haiku a day just to mark the changing of time. And
I love that.
Actually, there's one haiku in Smile that I wrote during that time, and it's a crooked face is better than a crooked heart. Open me to God.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
So that poem is in there as well, and about probably 200 other haiku.
Yeah, I love your writing. I love how you incorporated the two passions that you have into the book. Obviously, your poem writing is such a big part of you. Putting it into the book, of course, was probably, was very natural for that. I'm sure that you didn't really think that writing one haiku a day would go on as long as it did.
No, I thought it'd be a couple weeks of haiku.
We all thought that, you know what, it's going to be a rough couple weeks. So it's going to be a rough 6 weeks. It'll be fine. And then it's still going on. Like, enough is enough, right? So I'm so glad to have had you on. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. Again, this is Sarah Ruhl. She's the author of Smile, The Story of a Face. I will definitely put in the notes where you can get her book. And I just loved reading it. I love bringing together people who have gone through Bell's palsy on any kind of level of life everywhere in the world. It's really rewarding to me to have everybody get together, and just, we can see we're all in this together. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you get back on for your day, and I'll watch out for that, your book coming out with the haikus. I can't wait to read that as well.
And I just want to say to the audience, some of whom I've seen some things in the chat, sending healing thoughts and love to all of you, and thank you for creating this sense of community and awareness. It's really wonderful. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I look forward to chatting with you again. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
And reduce the stress hormone in your life. Your recovery will improve. It even says in Fix My Face, like, take your time, relax. We all know each muscle in our face now, right? Because we've seen that chart and everything a million times. Visualize those muscles relaxing. It helps with pain. It helps with tightness. Don't underestimate the power of your brain to do a lot of the work. It's not going to completely heal you overnight. Who knows? But it's just another tool in your arsenal. It's just another tool.
Yeah, you want to do, I like that. Another tool, all the things. Sharon just asked, what can you do when you're 37 weeks pregnant and got Bell's palsy? Oh my gosh, that sucks. First of all, just so you know, we're with you and you're going to be great. For you, I would say rest and make sure you get those medications. I don't know when you're pregnant. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but make sure you get Fix My Face is available. You can get the ebook on iuniverse.com. So get the Fix My Face book, Sharon. You do some reading while you put your feet up and relax. That's definitely where I would start for that.
Yeah.
But talking about, like the health and setting yourself up for success mentally, physically. So you've tried all the things, the acupuncture. So now you do your stretching, you work with your,
Today
therapy.
I did another cranial sacral session earlier today. Just to loosen up I mean, like I said, the whole body's connected. So if you're a little off in your face and you're overcompensating, your neck overcompensates, and then your back overcompensates, and it can screw up the whole system.
Yeah.
And your posture matters for your face. Your neck matters a lot. Your platysma connects really high up here.
Yeah, down all the way down here, and that's why a lot of people get Botox as well. Is to just so it like
get
so
that platysma calm down. So I do my stretches. I do get Botox in my neck because I get a little trouble with the neck stuff. I do cranial sacral, and I'll just kind of test how I'm feeling and say, based on my past treatments, I think that would be beneficial. Like Jody does dry needling with ultrasound, right? And that's something that we don't have in Vancouver, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But she takes an ultrasound, finds where the tissue and the fibrosis, and again, I'm 90% sure I'm right on this, but I might be a bit off because I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, when you have synkinesis and that injury, there's some fibrosis in your face, and she goes in with a needle, breaks it up. And I've heard from people directly, it's instant relief.
Yeah, a lady that I just met from around here who had Bell's palsy.
Is it Pam?
Pam?
Yeah.
Shout
out to Pam.
Sorry, I'm stalking you. I'm like, you're such a stalker. But good for you, because I love people like that are like, I got to get answers. She went down there and got it.
I know, and she said it was amazing.
I'm jealous.
I know.
Oh,
I plan on going down there. It's in Baltimore, I think.
Yeah, my oldest son plays lacrosse, and lacrosse is quite big down there. So I said, okay, well, down there, I'm taking.
Yeah, seriously. But we've been looking, Jody and I, because like I've connected Jody with, for example, the cranial sacral person in my area, and she'll work with that person, and she's worked with the Botox person, and you know, she will, because at her facility, they have all this stuff there in one facility. We don't have that luxury in Vancouver. Yeah. But she can connect, and she can find, you know, the equivalent or the closest thing in the area. So I've kind of made my own center of facial recovery out here with their guidance.
Yeah, and you know, maybe that's something for you and I to work together, you know, in the next month is to kind of maybe put together people that we have experience with in different areas, because then you can be like, oh, hey, well, you know, Kyle stock, because I did fascia stretch therapy, and that was awesome because it really did stretch this whole body. Sharon, Jody is from the Center for Facial Recovery. You can find her on probably every second or third
Instagram, Facebook, Google.
Yeah, Center for Facial Recovery, and that's who we're talking about. So, and Sharon, are you from Vancouver too? Give me a DM, and I'll connect you with those people. We're just getting up, you know, trying to get people kind of more aware of Bell's palsy all around the world, which is just so fantastic. And I'm really excited to chat with you, Kyle. Now, is there anything else you'd like to mention? Because I think that you and I could probably chat for about 5 or 6 hours. So great.
No, I think we've covered a lot of it. You know, like you can happy to reach out to me anytime. If any of you have questions, specific questions, I'm happy to answer anything that I know. Most of the time I'll tell you to go to someone, a doctor or somebody, but I cannot overstress the importance of getting your body on your side and your mind on your side. The treatments themselves take research, and you talk to people and they'll tell you. What I like about Jody is she has 10 options of what you can do. Oh, try this, or try this, try this. Whereas a lot of them will say, you know, neuromuscular reeducation and Botox. That's the treatment. Neuromuscular reeducation and Botox. That's all you got. And to be honest, for me, I thought the results, I could do better than what I saw from just those 2 therapies. Although they seem amazing, and I'm not saying they don't work, but for me, I want to try other things too. You know, I'm not ready to just say this is the way it is.
And you don't have to. Yeah. And I think, you know, we've talked quite a few times with other people on here. I've never quite had somebody on yet who's had surgery. But to me, as long as you're not committing, like if you're ready to commit to the surgery, that's great. You know, I stand behind you and support you. For myself, and I know you're probably seem to be similar, is anything that I can do that's not permanent like that. Stretching our fascia stretch therapy, doing the exercises, doing acupuncture, those things are all worth a shot. Everything,
oh yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I think that is really great for us to be able to talk about all those. But
Yeah.
diet,
And just double check with a doctor who knows this well if you're starting a new treatment. You know, you don't want to jump into, because there are some out there, like for example, a lot of acupuncture will want to put e-stim on you. You have to be really careful with that. You have to be careful of that. So don't just jump into treatments and say, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this. Double check with experts. And by expert, I can't, not just the doctor, because we know more. Everyone here probably knows more about this than most doctors, unfortunately. You have to go to someone who deals with this all the time.
Yeah. And like GPs are just human, and you know, and that's what, like, you go to your GP and they know a little bit about, like, they're a general.
Yeah.
Well,
a great example is I kept hearing about eye weights, because this eye took forever to close, and it drove me nuts. And all of you can relate. When your eye doesn't close, it's hell. It's terrible.
Super annoying.
So I was saying, I think I need an external weight so it'll help close. Like, can I please have an external weight? She's like, oh, you don't need that. And it was the eye doctor. And then now that I know better,
knows eyes, eye doctor would know about
that. I thought, okay, I guess she's right. And now reading Fix My Face and dealing with some of the research that Jody's directed me to, had I had an external weight, because their philosophy at the Center of Facial Recovery is some synkinesis is formed because we're trying to close your eye. So that's why your mouth pushes up. Your body wants to close your eye. So had I done that, maybe my synkinesis wouldn't have been as bad. That's too late for me. But if there's someone listening who is earlier on in their recovery, and this is 6 months or so, whatever, do that and talk to Jody or someone who knows the latest research, because this is a very new field. Things are changing all the time with our illness, you know, so you have to be really up on things.
And I think even talking about it like that now, even myself, like, I'm just more inspired now to be like, hey, I'm gonna look into this, because you know, it isn't first of all, it's not a death sentence. So keeping our positive mind up, you know, for people watching, make sure you take those pictures with your kids. Post the picture on Instagram, even though your eye looks weird or whatever. Like, this is the only life you get. So you want to be passionate and put effort into it without obsessing. It can't be the only thing that we focus on in our life. We have so much good stuff going on.
Yeah. One of the best days is when you wake up and it's not the first thing that comes into your mind is, I'm dealing with this face thing. And then you start living your life. Be with your friends. I mean, socially distance and COVID safe, all that, but be sociable. It will help your recovery, and not just your physical recovery, but you need to have an emotional and a mental recovery from this. This is a major injury that has hit us, and physically, emotionally, and mentally. So be kind with yourself and enjoy your life. It'll help you recover. And I'm telling you, for me, I'm just going to be for everybody, I'm in a weird way grateful I went through this. Because it taught me things that I could never learn otherwise.
Yeah. And I think that that's a fabulous way of thinking of it. And like I said, I think we could talk forever. We're definitely going to have you on again. And we're going to talk about that energetic healing and passion for keeping inflammation down in your body. I think that that is going to be a great topic to talk about with you. Quite normally when I have people on for the first time, we kind of chat.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and then I'm wanting to do more kind of targeted topics later for people who, or maybe we're going to
I love what you're doing. I think it's wonderful, and I can't thank you enough. It's really selfless, and it can be very lonely and hopeless. So you're shining a light in what can be a very dark time. So on behalf of me and everyone around, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. We will be in touch. I'm going to get all the information that Kyle was chatting about with those professionals that he knows that you guys can look into. I'll repost the information for Fix My Face, the book that you can get on iUniverse, and also the contact information for the Center for Facial Recovery. So I'm going to let you go. You have a wonderful and we'll be in touch.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.